Hello, Vera. Are you still working? How many times have I told you to resign and become a decent full-time housewife for my son?
Hello, Emily. It's great to hear from you as well. When I say this, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I've also told you many times that I'm not interested in quitting my work and becoming a housewife. I had hoped we were on the same page about this by now. And, moreover, James doesn't seem to object if I work, so I don't see the problem. To be honest, I believe this is something that should be decided between myself and my husband.
What? What are you on about, Vera? You are aware that others are accusing you of being selfish for not quitting your job to care for your daughter.
What? But I don't think I'm being selfish at all. What could be more selfish than working hard to care for your family?
But have you considered how your effort may affect Jenna? She most likely believes her mother ignores her and does not love her. Consider how this might affect her as she grows older. Whatever happens to her will be entirely your fault. Are you all right with that?
Do you think my child will have a lot of problems because her mother worked? I'm sorry, but I don't see the link there. I'm doing everything for Lucy. Okay, her well-being is constantly in the forefront of my attention. Besides, I'm still with her all day, you know?
But what you're doing is insufficient for her. Kids are extremely sensitive to these kinds of things and can be extremely sensitive to a lack of attention from their parents. You should be spending a lot more time with your children than you believe. I'm sure your poor little kid is lonely without you around to take care of her.
Sorry, but I don't believe much of what you're saying. Besides, Jenna is never truly alone during the day. After all, she is preparing to begin preschool with a large group of other children. And when she does start preschool, I'll be leaving work early every day to take her up.
And I can assure you that this is still insufficient for her. And your poor young kid is too kind to say anything to you.
Are you sure that's what's going on? Anyway, it's okay because James is usually helping around the house. And when I can't be with Jenna, he always makes time for her. When they're together, she always seems to be having a good time.
And you think that's a reasonable load to impose on my poor son? You have no idea how busy he is at work. When he gets home, he deserves to rest. But now you're telling me that you're too lazy to be a mother to your own daughter, so you make James do it? Don't you realize it's the woman's responsibility to raise the children and run the household?
I'm sorry, Emily, but I don't believe we hold the same views on that subject. Furthermore, I believe that times have evolved and that thinking is somewhat out of date. If a couple can work together, they can also raise their own children together. After all, it's their child, so shouldn't both parents be involved in its upbringing?
Well, in my family, we still appreciate traditional values and do not think in such way. What the rest of the world is doing is irrelevant to me. My rules apply to my family. Then again, you are just James' wife. We're not even blood relatives. But now that you've married in, the least you can do is raise your family the way I say.
Don't you think you've gone a little too far?
Not to mention the house. Do you take any steps to keep it clean? You just let dirty clothes pile up, dishes pile up in the sink, and dust accumulate everywhere. Food that was simply left out. Do you even try to keep your house clean?
I was hoping you'd bring up the status of the house. Last time you came by, you didn't leave any form of message or notification. Then you stormed in, searching every nook and cranny for flaws. Anyway, please don't do it again.
What could possibly have irritated you about my visit? Maybe if you truly kept your house in order, you wouldn't be so upset when guests come over. I didn't tell you I was coming over just to prove a point. And I had to be thorough in my search. Who knows where you tried to conceal your junk from me?
I wasn't hiding anything, and even if I was, it's my house, and I believe I have the right to do so.
Is that what you're thinking? You just didn't want me to find out what a slob you are. I never wanted you to marry my beloved son. He deserves a wife who can truly take care of the house as she should.
Actually, James and I do a great job of splitting the chores. And it's true that sometimes both he and I are so busy that we don't get the housekeeping done. But we've never let it get to the point where it became a significant problem. We constantly make certain that the house is clean enough that there is no danger to our health or anything of the sort.
Still, I don't think it's good enough. I can't bear going over to your disgusting place. And I'm sure my little James feels the same way. After all, I reared him and always kept the house pristine as he grew older.
I don't think you need to be concerned about that, Emily. James and I chat frequently, and he doesn't appear to have any issues about how we live.
Oh, my poor darling little boy. He must work extremely hard every day to keep himself under control around you. I simply wish he'd already divorced you.
Okay, I'm starting to get tired of this conversation. I would appreciate it if you picked your next words with care.
I'm just worried about my little son. He worked so hard at his job every day and even made sure to send some money home to me. I've heard you don't send money back to your parents. Is this correct? It's never too late to quit being a lousy daughter.
Actually, I don't send money home to my parents because they don't need it. Furthermore, neither works full-time nor has attained retirement age. I know you can stay at home with James for the duration of his childhood. But ever since your husband died, you've relied on James to send you money to get by.
And I am eternally grateful to my lovely, sweet boy. I did an incredible job raising him to be the man he is now. Of course, he is not flawless and has made some poor choices in his life. That is, some small and some not so small. Oh, I should have been there to steer him in the right direction.
I'm sure I have no idea what you're on about right now. Anyway, it's our house, not yours, so we'll keep doing things our way. Please refrain from making any further comments or criticism about how I operate my house. Thank you.
Excuse me? Who do you think you're talking to, young lady? If this is how you genuinely act, I truly feel sorry for my poor little child and granddaughter.
Anyway, I'm extremely busy, so I'm going to leave now.
Hello, honey. Did you and my mum talk earlier today? My mother sent me a message that was largely her complaining.
Yes. We had a conversation. She was asking me again if I was sure I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. She was just saying how lonely Jenna must be and how filthy the house must be. It's just a typical complaint, you know?
I see. I'm very sorry you have to deal with her like way. I've told her numerous times that you and I would cheerfully split the work and run the house together, but she's stuck in her old ideas and insists that all of this should be done by the wife. And then she only blames you when the chores go unfinished or the house is a little filthy. I've tried to explain how things truly are to her all the time, but she just doesn't seem to want to hear what I have to say.
No. I understand. It's fine. Your mother is the type of person who occasionally attempts to impose her will on others. That's exactly what I'm hearing from you. To be honest, I sometimes feel sorry for you. You're also a victim in this.
Yes, just a bit. But I'm sorry that all of her rage seems to be directed at you. I wish there was something I could do or say to my mom to make her stop. I've stopped trying to tell her the truth lately because she's becoming so much. I'm sorry I didn't do more to put a stop to it all.
I said it was okay, James, and I meant it. I realize you have a lot on your mind and are giving it your all. And your efforts are paying off. Just look at how great you did on that test last week. You're continually pursuing certifications and getting closer to your desired career.
Vera. That's very kind of you. Thank you really lot. But I couldn't have accomplished anything without you by my side, always prepared to assist. And I know I've made things difficult for you with all of this. But I vow to have some positive news for you soon. All I ask is that you hold on a little longer, okay?
Of course, my dear. You know I'll always be rooting for you.
We're having a family meal at that barbecue restaurant. We're going to eat a lot of delicious cuisine. With the exception of you. You are only permitted to eat from the salad bar.
Excuse me? What do you mean I'm only allowed to eat from the salad bar?
You aren't family, and this is a family supper. That's why I say you can't order anything off the menu. Only the salad bar. Maybe you can just eat all the divine fragrances.
What exactly are you talking about? Don't you think this is a little excessive?
And here she is again, the terrible wife who is always squabbling with her mother-in-law and never follows orders. You realize how much I despise you? Why don't you just leave?
That's okay. Maybe I'll do it.
Okay, then.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Enjoy your meal.
What did you say to James, you wicked witch? He is enraged with me right now. Did you realize that even your own daughter hates Grandma now? What kind of terrible lies did you spread among my family?
Jenna actually said that to you? I think I've been growing my child to be much tougher than I expected. To be honest, it moved me.
Tell me what you said to them, what caused my son and granddaughter so angry with me. I became so agitated that I had to dash to the restroom. James even advised me that I needed to adjust the way I spoke to you. Can you believe it?
I certainly hope that's the most he said to you, Emily. I've been irritated all day because of the bullshit you were spewing at me earlier. So I talked to James and told him all you had said to me. After I finished telling him everything, he seemed really unhappy with you.
You are heinous. What lies did you feed my poor little boy's mind? What have you done to my precious James?
It was at this time that I was on my way to the restaurant where I assumed we would all be eating together. Then you sent me all those angry messages, and I didn't even show up. So I explained what had happened to James and that I was too sad and needed to go home. And I'm guessing that's around the time James and Jenna arrived to meet you at the restaurant.
So that's why only those two were present when I arrived? And what is all this nonsense about my son not working right now? You're saying my son and granddaughter have been subsisting on what you've brought home? I don't believe it.
So James finally told you what he's been up to, huh? To be honest, that was surprising. He assured me he would wait till he reached his goal before telling you everything.
What do you mean? You must speak to me clearly right now or else. You'd better explain what you're talking about with James' purpose.
So, this conversation didn't get very far, did it? James has always aspired to be a designer, did you know? I'm sure you knew about your darling little guy, right?
What exactly did he do? What are you even saying? You're saying James is now studying that? Design?
Yes, it is correct. He returned to school to pursue his interest in design. That's why I've been working extra hard to provide for my entire family.
This has to be a joke, right? I thought I had put an end to his crazy dreams when he was little.
Do you see what I mean? You got in the way of your kid doing what he truly desired. Now I'm working hard to give him a chance to realize the aspirations you forced him to abandon. He's always been such a good son, doing whatever you asked. So I'm not going to do the same. Instead, I'll be there for him every step of the way as he forges his own path.
You idiotic cow! Are you attempting to derail my son's future?
Oh, Emily. Isn't that the question I should be asking you? James was always forced to do things he didn't want to do. Forcing him to apply for jobs that you have chosen for him. It didn't really matter as long as your expectations were met, right?
But I had no choice. As a result, he had a nice salary and a terrific work with an incredible firm. But you made him abandon everything only to pursue some foolish fantasy of his? Don't you see this is going to ruin him?
Let me tell you a little bit about his profession, Emily. Not only was it something he didn't choose for himself and never wanted to do, but he would always come home late after hours of overtime and appear depressed. What I'm doing for James is because I want him to have a better life. I want to support him in the same way that my parents helped me start my own business.
But you must first open your eyes. This is the real world in which we live. And, young woman, let me tell you something. The real world doesn't care about your dreams. What if James doesn't succeed? So, what are your plans?
If that's the case, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But, no matter what, I will always work hard to provide for my family. That is what a good husband and wife do. We are here for one another.
That's great for you, but what about Jenna? Aren't you abandoning her by constantly working? Look at the state of your home. That is no way to raise a child.
Actually, because I work so much, James has been doing all of the chores. Of course, I assist him whenever possible because his first focus right now is Jenna's care.
That's a sick familial dynamic. You make your hubby do the housework? That is completely unnatural.
In life, there is work, and housekeeping. Since I'm in charge of the work, James is in charge of the housework. But, if you think about it, it's the polar opposite of how things used to be in your day.
That is why it is unacceptable. It is simply not going to happen.
What you think is irrelevant to me. Jenna is constantly appreciative of how hard her father works. And when she grows up and has her own hopes and ambitions, James and I will be there to support her in whatever she chooses. She will also learn from her father what it means to pursue and achieve one's aspirations. After all, James was so unhappy for so long because of the way you raised him.
What did you just say to me?
That's why he's so against raising Jenna the way you did. Do you understand all I'm saying right now? We are going to do things our way and raise our children the way we want them to be raised.
You believe you can raise your children without the help of grandparents? You will be regret.
No, Emily. I believe you will be the one who regrets how this turns out. I believe you should be aware that the allowance you thought James was providing you was actually from my personal salary. But your own son said it was time to cut you off. As a result, you will no longer get checks in the mail as of today.
Wait, what? Then how am I expected to live? How am I expected to buy food? I'd never had to work before. My entire life, I was a stay-at-home mother.
And this is the result of you believing that was the best option for you. I suppose you should have had a backup plan in case things went wrong. I've gone this far in life on my own power, which is why I'll never be a housewife.
Wait! You can't do this to me. I'm your in-law's mom. I admit that I was mistaken. You are not limited to eating at the salad bar. Do you think we could meet in person and talk?
I don't have anything else to say to you. I hope you live a life that you are certain you picked for yourself. I'm confident that's the only way you'll know whether or not your choices were proper. But, in my opinion, people who have never worked a day in their lives should learn about the real world before lecturing others how to live. Emily then exited the restaurant's bathroom and returned to her table. When I arrived, she was still sitting there, getting reprimanded by her son. I looked at Emily and urged her to enjoy the salad bar before I went home with my family. We left Emily there to consider her options. Emily struggled to find a part-time job to support her new existence away from our family. I've heard she's barely getting by.
Hello, how are you? Is this Linda? Wife of Mark. Who is this? My name is Maria. I'm Mark's new secretary.
Oh. Hi. So you're Mark's new secretary?
That's right. From now on, Mark and I will be spending a lot of time together as I tend to his needs. I felt compelled to contact you in order to introduce myself to his wife.
Thank you for caring. My husband is passionate about his profession and might get carried away at times. I'd love it if you could do anything to make things easy for him.
Of course. It's part of my work to relieve your husband's aches and pains. I'm pretty talented in that area, so I'm confident your husband will be more at ease while working.
Oh, you're a trained masseuse? If that's the case, I'm glad to hear he'll be in capable care.
Well, I wouldn't call myself a qualified masseuse. I was more thinking about getting caressed by a young gorgeous woman. That would make any man happy.
I'm sorry, what?
Not only that, but if he needs to rest his head, he may rest on my lap. That's the kind of specialization that makes me an excellent secretary.
So that's what you meant when we talked about soothing? You're not going to stretch his muscles or make him feel better.
I believe your husband will be too preoccupied with this lovely lady to notice his weariness.
I must disagree.
Using my own personal style, I'll do my best to have your husband thinking of me at all times.
We'll see what happens.
I'm going to leave it at that. Don't be concerned, your husband will be well cared for. Now it's time to say goodbye.
Linda, I apologize for the last-minute dinner reservation. Don't worry about making dinner because I'll be eating out.
Thank you for informing me. It's great that you're staying late for work, but are you okay? You've been really busy recently, and I'm concerned about your health.
If I'm being honest, I'm at my limit, therefore we'll do our best to get home as quickly as possible.
Look after yourself. Also, what will Secretary Maria be eating with you tonight?
Maria?
I believe she recently joined the company. A young lady? Anyway, try not to spend too much time with her. I believe you should use caution around her.
What made you aware of Maria? We haven't discussed my hiring a new secretary, have we?
She actually contacted me today to introduce herself.
What did she do?
It was quite nice of her to go out of her way to message me.
Why would she have your contact information? I never gave her your contact information.
She most likely obtained it from another coworker. Anyway, hiring a secretary is unusual for you, Mark. You're always complaining about not wanting others to do your tasks.
I didn't want to hire her in the first place, but I don't have much of a choice.
What is the reason for this?
One of our clients' president requested me to hire her. Maria is his daughter, and she appears to be having difficulty finding meaningful employment. So he asked me to find something for her to do here.
So that's why she's your secretary.
Because she is incapable of doing any other work, secretary was the ideal fit for her. We're also low on people at the office, so I feel horrible about making this decision.
So you were first hiring for the office and then decided to promote her to secretary?
No, it's not like that. I didn't have a choice. This was the only thing I could think of.
Oh, really?
I initially put her in the office, but she had no idea what she was doing.
Was it really that bad?
She was unable to fax or copy materials. I eventually had her on the shredder, but she wound up trashing vital paperwork. I can't trust her to do any decent work. I'm not thrilled about it, but hiring her as my secretary was the finest move I could have made.
Isn't it, however, more difficult to be a secretary? More capable personnel are in charge of keeping track of appointments and maintaining a professional demeanor on the phone.
That's why I'm hiring her on the assumption that she'll quit as soon as she has to raise children.
What gives you the impression that this will occur?
According to others around her, it appears like all she speaks about is leaving work as soon as she can. So I'm thinking that if I have her walk about as my secretary, there will inevitably be a guy who is interested in her.
I'm not sure if that's a good idea.
It's surprising how nicely it works. Apparently, she's been going on speed dates every day, enticing men with the role of secretary. At this pace, she'll be out of the company in less than a year.
So all we can do is hope for the best. What are you planning to do about her sloppy work ethic till then?
I've never really needed a secretary to begin with, so I've assigned her some little tasks like lunch bookings and present hunting that I'm confident she can do.
She is a young woman, therefore she may be more resourceful than you.
That only leaves the dinner. You are aware that her father will be joining us for dinner tonight.
That's just a coincidence.
He wants to talk about our recent agreements. Not only that, but he's curious about Maria's health.
You appear to be overburdened right now.
It's the price they pay for things to work properly. Anyway, I must return to work. Have a pleasant evening. Don't stay up late waiting for me.
Hello, Mrs. Linda. I'm wondering if I can borrow a few minutes of your time. I'd like to tell you something significant about Mark.
What happened? He hasn't passed out from weariness or anything?
No, he's been working happily all day. The main thing I need to tell you is what will happen next.
Okay, please enlighten me.
Let me get right to the point. You should divorce Mark. I'm sorry to say it, but you are not the greatest person to be his wife.
What exactly are you on about?
You'd be doing us a favor if you divorced.
Okay, fine. Could you at least explain why you believe that? Why are you personally requesting that I obtain a divorce? Also, how is this beneficial to Mark?
Because this will result in a happy ending for Mark.
In what sense?
He said yesterday that I am the most capable person he knows. He also mentioned how at ease he feels around me.
You mean this came from Mark's mouth?
Of course not. This can only be his declaration of love for me. He cherishes me more than he cherishes you.
Are you certain about that?
That isn't everything. With my captivating appeal and outstanding attractiveness, he feels like I'm the sun on his side.
Isn't that a wonderful compliment?
I believe we've moved on beyond compliments and are now aiming for a proposal. Mark is implying that he would like to marry me.
You're making too many assumptions.
When he says he has a sun at his side, he's implying that he wants that light since it's always brightening his day. In other words, he's stating he wants to marry me. When you already have a wife, it's difficult to be open about your feelings. So he's proposing to me in the only way he knows how.
Let me double-check that I understand you correctly, Maria. Do you truly believe everything you're saying to me right now?
Mrs. Linda, I understand how you must be feeling right now. Accepting this so soon is difficult. Even thinking about losing your beloved hubby hurts. But let's face it, facts are facts. Mark is head over heels in love with me.
I can't believe I'm hearing this.
After all, who wants to be with an old, stale lady when you can be with a hot, youthful beauty? It's no surprise that Mark is madly in love with me.
You claim you're head over heels?
Mark is admitting his feelings for his enticing secretary. Please divorce and do the right thing.
So my secretary has been telling me this behind my back.
Excuse me?
Who's the most capable employee I know? As far as I know, the most capable individual in my company is me.
What are you talking about? When you mentioned your secretary.
It's me, Mark. Linda's husband. Your superior. I'm not sure who you think you are, but do you want to quit bothering my wife with your silly fantasies?
Was it you the whole time? It's me, Maria. Your personal secretary.
Maria? Is it truly you?
Yes, it's me. You're extremely talented and stunning secretary.
I'm sorry to say it, but the Maria I know is not at all capable. Are you certain you're not a skilled con artist who just happens to have Maria's phone?
You're wondering if it's actually me?
But the Maria I'm thinking about is a complete shambles. She misses critical lunch meetings and eats other people's meals from the company refrigerator. She can't even recall my coffee order. I don't see the capable person you brag about.
You have no idea how much it hurts to be considered a sloppy worker. I'm doing my hardest, you know.
Apart from being a jerk, I'm not sure what talents you have as an employee. If you want to marry a leader like me, I have some suggestions. When you bring that much sexual energy to work, it's a genuine annoyance.
I'm a bother?
You didn't even notice when I left the building, demonstrating how lousy of an employee you are. I informed you as I was leaving my office that I had left something at home and that I would be out shortly.
You told me that?
Of course. This is how I'm currently using my wife's phone.
You can't expect me to remember every single detail.
I believe that knowing where the person you work for is should be the minimum need for a secretary. People who sit at their workstations all day doing their nails are not what I consider capable employees.
I can't believe all you're saying right now, Mark. Please don't be so cruel and hurtful to me.
Allowing you to believe you're doing well would be more cruel. All I'm doing is pointing out your lack of work ethic.
But what about the day before? You said I was the most capable employee you know. Was it true?
Oh, you're still thinking about that remark from yesterday. I merely said that in the hopes that someone would notice and take you off my hands.
Did you really mean that?
That happened at the meal, correct? David was standing next to me. He is known for recruiting young, attractive women. He looked to be interested in you. I was betting on him taking you away from me.
Were you trying to sell me to another guy?
There was talk of relocating personnel. He hinted that there was a fantastic job for you on his team if I was all right with it.
Are you serious?
As a thank you, he agreed to handle the next piece of work that came in.
I can't believe you do anything like this, Mark. You employed me to advance your business goals?
Apart from that, I'm not sure what else I could do for you. Not only that, but you will most likely be treated better on his team. I'm not sure what you stand to gain from this.
I've had enough. What's with the sudden shift in attitude? Do you think you can talk to me like this just because you're a manager? My father will find out about this.
Please inform your father. Please submit your resignation letter before you do so. Hello, Linda. I have a dinner reservation tonight, so I'll be home late. I've been all over the place today getting things at home and returning to work. I'm just a jumble.
Don't worry about it. What occurred this afternoon concerns me more. I was quite concerned about you.
What precisely do you mean? This afternoon was quiet.
Maria is the one I'm referring to. Didn't you make a promise to her father that you'd watch after her? She appears to have prattled on to her father about something, and I'm concerned you'll suffer as a result.
There's nothing to be concerned about. That is not anything you should be concerned about.
I'm aware, but
This is also what it means to be a leader, right? Believe me, I didn't irritate her without considering the implications.
are you certain about that?
Anyway, I have a dinner reservation. I'll finally be able to relax tomorrow and the next day. What about doing something different for a change?
You were able to take some time off. It's the first time in 6 months.
I understand. So I don't want you to be concerned about anything. On the other side, why don't you come up with some fun date ideas? Anyway, I'll contact you later.
Mrs. Linda, how are you? Did Mark come to this morning? I'm sure he's beginning to regret going up against someone so much older than him.
I wouldn't precisely say that. On the contrary, he wasn't in the best of spirits. All he could think about was finally getting a couple of days off from work.
What happens next? Don't tell me you're hanging out right now.
He's finally had some time to himself. We'd be wasting our time if we didn't take the time to unwind, so we've decided to go on a short trip.
He has the fortitude to go on a trip after all of this? Is he totally aware of what's going on?
Is there a problem? Given that it's his vacation, I believe it's the ideal time to unwind.
You must understand because you are his wife. Your husband has wronged me, and my father is aware of it. As a result, my father's company has halted all further negotiations as long as Mark is on the team.
That is how it appears. I'm aware that they're not on the best of terms right now. But then, why are you telling me this?
Are you serious?
At the end of the day, I'm just Mark's wife. I don't work for him and have no influence. It makes no difference to me whether or not your father does business with him again. It's pointless to discuss it with me. If you want to retaliate against me, why not target my husband?
Shut up, you old hag! Mark and I are both tired of you.
Is this correct? It's strange that I didn't realize that.
How come some old lady may be a manager's wife while I'm only a petty secretary? Surely you can understand how this is illogical.
I'm not sure what you're expecting me to say in response.
I messaged you since you are Mark's wife. Isn't it in your best interests to protect him?
You make an excellent point. I'm always concerned about Mark's health since he puts so much of himself into his profession. While there isn't much I can do, I try to assist where I can.
Ha ha ha. So why don't you beg me for it?
What do I beg you for?
Request that I persuade my father to give Mark another chance and reopen negotiations. Offer your husband to me, and we can work something out.
What if I refuse?
You'll be wasting your final chance to make things right between your husband and my father. Simply do it. Allow your husband to accompany me and beg my pardon. If you do that, I'll forgive everything that has transpired so far. I'll persuade my father to reopen negotiations.
So this is our last opportunity, right?
Exactly. Now beg. Please, give me your husband. Mark will get into problems if you don't.
There's no reason to demean myself in this way. I'd be content if we never had to speak to each other again. While we're on the subject, let me clear up some confusion. It appears that you are misinterpreting what is going on. Mark was the one who halted the commercial transactions. He is the one who canceled the contract with your father.
What do you mean? It was my father who made the decision.
No, he wasn't. The contract is set to expire this month, and Mark does not appear to be interested in renewing it. Your father seemed to have tried numerous times to persuade Mark to change his mind, but to no avail.
Mark had wanted to stop working with my father all along? No way, you're lying. It's because my father found out about how I was handled. He loves me so much that he wouldn't allow something like this go unpunished.
The timing of your alerting your father and the contract's expiration was just coincidental.
Are you certain?
Ask your father if you don't trust me.
Whatever. Don't assume you've won this battle. My father's business will function perfectly without you interfering. My father's business is unaffected. If we're talking about loss, I'd be more concerned about what occurs on your end. Have fun fading into nothing.
My husband's company would have failed years ago if they had relied entirely on one company. Mark informed me that they have other business partners with whom they have solid relations.
No way.
Anyway, I'm going to depart. After all, Mark and I have been planning a vacation for quite some time. It would be a pity if it was wrecked by some girl who thought she could marry my husband.
I'm not a girl.
Maria, take care of yourself. Make an effort at the next company you work for.
Maria was quickly transferred to another team that was largely made up of young, beautiful girls. The culture appears to be one in which only the most beautiful of girls are hired. Maria is certainly young and attractive, but in a company full of attractive women, she found herself at the bottom of the food chain. Not only that, but because she was unable of working properly, there were criticisms that if she isn't that pretty, she should at least be able to do a good job. She couldn't get the center of attention when she went speed dating with her attractive superiors. Maria had no intention of quitting her career and becoming a stay-at-home mom.
Hey, Ms. Thompson, can I have a moment of your precious time?
What is it now, Lily? Can't you see I'm busy trying to get through this pile of papers?
I know. I just want to ask you something. Have you ever wondered why no one takes you seriously?
Lily, I don't have time for your games. I have a job to do, unlike you.
Oh? The job of being the most boring, ineffective teacher in the history of education? It must be tough. Right?
You think you're so clever, don't you? Constantly disrupting my class, making it impossible for anyone to learn. You're the reason no one takes me seriously.
Oh, come on, Ms. Thompson. I'm just trying to liven things up around here. I must say, your classes are like watching paint dry?
You think it's fun to make my life miserable? You have no idea what it's like to be on the receiving end of constant disrespect and humiliation.
Ha ha ha. You really don't get it, do you? It's not about you, Ms. Thompson. It's about the power I feel when I can make your life miserable. You are weak, and I enjoy exploiting that weakness. Hey, have you ever stopped considering why you're such a failure as a teacher?
Failure? How could you say such a word to me? Just another cruel remark to add to the countless others that have plagued my existence.
It's not just my opinion, Ms. Thompson. It's the general consensus. Your teaching methods are archaic, and your inability to command respect is laughable.
Laughable? You have no idea what it feels like to stand in front of a classroom, day after day, facing a barrage of insults and mockery. Your words cut deeper than you can ever comprehend.
Maybe, if you actually taught us something worth learning, we wouldn't mock you. But, no, you choose to regurgitate the same lifeless lessons year after year.
It's not as simple as you make it out to be, Lily. The system is against me, the expectations suffocate my creativity. I'm suffocating, can't you see?
Oh. Poor Ms. Thompson. The eternal victim. Ha ha ha. Well, maybe it's time you stopped wallowing in self-pity and started fighting back? Show us that you have a spine.
Fighting back? Against what? Your endless tide of disrespect? Every day, a piece of my soul crumbles away, and you contribute to its demise.
You know what, Ms. Thompson? You're right. Maybe you're just not cut out for this. Your weakness is like an open invitation for us to trample all over you.
Weakness? You think I'm weak? I chose this profession to make a difference, to shape young minds. But all I've become is a punching bag for your amusement.
And what difference have you made, Ms. Thompson? Besides being a cautionary tale of how not to be a teacher, your legacy will be one of failure and incompetence.
Stop. Just stop. Your words, they cut like knives. Do you take pleasure in tearing down those who are already broken?
Pleasure? Not really. But I think you need to be woken up from your self-imposed slumber. Maybe then you'll realize the damage you're causing.
Damage. Yes, my damage is having a student like you.
So what you gonna do to me? Are you going to cry and call my parents and then kick me out of the school? Do you really have the courage to do that? Well, honestly, I think the person who really have to go is you. We deserve better. We deserve a teacher who inspires us, who challenges us to reach our full potential. Not being coward like you.
That's enough. We'll talk about this later. Now it's time for class.
Well, it isn't Miss Thompson, the master of mediocrity? You haven't gone yet?
Spare me your insults, Lily. I'm here to teach, not to engage in this pointless banter. And you are nothing that I have to obey.
Pointless banter? Oh, no, Ms. Thompson, this is far from pointless. I'm simply reminding you of your inadequacy as an educator.
I had enough of your relentless mockery and disrespect. It's time you learn some manners and show me the respect I deserve.
Respect is earned, Ms. Thompson. And so far, you've done nothing to earn it.
You think you're so clever, don't you? But all you do is disrupt the class and hinder the learning experience for others.
Don't say that. Everyone is working so hard, don't you see?
Maybe you don't. Because you don't really care about our studying, right? Do you have any idea what it feels like to be constantly belittled, to dread coming to work every day?
It's not my responsibility to care about your feelings. Ms. Thompson, you're the one who chose this profession, yet you're incapable of commanding any respect.
I chose this profession to make a difference, to inspire young minds. But instead, I find myself dealing with a disrespectful student who takes pleasure in tormenting me.
Tormenting you? That's a bit dramatic, don't you think? I'm just highlighting your incompetence as an educator. Don't you ever say you're welcome to receive our suggestions on your teaching? Yeah, I've already given them to you. Sincerely. But frankly speaking, if you weren't so pitiful, I wouldn't have to stoop to such measures.
Stooping to such measures? Is that how you justify your behavior? You're not enlightening anyone. You're simply fueling a toxic environment where learning becomes impossible.
Toxic environment? How ridiculous. Well, perhaps if you were more engaging, if you actually cared about your students, we wouldn't resort to these tactics. You've brought this upon yourself, Ms. Thompson.
I've tried to connect with you and the other students, Lily, but it's difficult when all I receive in return is mockery and disdain.
Trying? Your feeble attempts are laughable, Ms. Thompson.
Your words may sting, but they won't break me. I will continue to do my best to provide you with an education, regardless of the obstacles you throw my way.
We'll see about that, Ms. Thompson. I thrive on challenges, and I won't rest until you understand the consequences of your ineptitude. Consider this a warning.
Few days later, Miss Thompson decides to talk to the principal. I can't believe I have to deal with that child again today.
What happened this time, Miss Thompson?
Recently, I have been facing my fear at school. She is my mischievous student. Almost every day, she's been insulting me constantly, making my classroom a living nightmare. I don't know how much more I can take.
Insulting you? That's completely unacceptable. We need to address this immediately. Have you spoken to her parents?
I haven't because I thought I could handle it. But I was wrong. She is beyond her limit now. Her behavior, it's affecting the entire class. The other students are losing focus, and I fear their education is suffering because of her constant disruptions.
We can't let this bad behavior continue. It's time to involve the parents more seriously. I'll schedule a meeting with them to discuss the severity of the situation.
Thank you, Principal Anderson. I hope they finally understand the consequences of their child's actions.
It's been an uphill battle trying to maintain a positive learning environment. I assure you, Ms. Thompson, we'll do everything we can to resolve this issue. It's not fair to you or the other students to endure such disrespect. We'll get through this together.
Several days later, the meeting with the parents takes place.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Brown. Thank you for coming in today. I wanted to discuss a matter concerning your daughter, Lily.
What's this all about, teacher? We're busy people, you know?
I understand, Mrs. Brown. The reason I asked you to come in is because Lily has been engaging in disruptive behavior in class. Over the past few weeks, your daughter has been consistently insulting me, disrupting the class, and undermining my authority.
That's absurd. Our Lily would never do such a thing. You must be mistaken.
I assure you, she has said such horrible things to me almost every day she goes to class.
Oh, come on. She's just a child. Kids say things sometimes. It's not a big deal.
It is a big deal when her words cause harm to me and her classmates. It's affecting their learning environment and their well-being.
We must emphasize the seriousness of this situation. Insulting and disrespecting a teacher is not acceptable behavior under any circumstances.
It's essential that you address this issue with your daughter.
Look, she's just being playful. It's all harmless teasing. She's a 15-year-old kid. She doesn't mean any harm.
Excuse me? Harmless teasing? You say that calling me by my name, ridiculing my teaching methods, and belittling other students is far from harmless. Is it harmless teasing? It's deeply hurtful and creates a hostile environment.
Well, maybe, if you were a better teacher, she wouldn't feel the need to act out.
Mrs. Brown, that is an unfair accusation. Ms. Thompson is a highly qualified and dedicated teacher. Your daughter's behavior is not a reflection of her teaching ability.
Excuse me, Mrs. Brown, but I find your accusation quite offensive. I assure you, I have years of experience and a track record of success with my teaching methods. Your daughter's behavior is solely her responsibility, and it's time you accept that fact.
Don't you dare blame our daughter. She's an angel at home. It's your lousy teaching that's driving her to act out in your pathetic excuse for a classroom.
Your daughter's behavior has been disruptive and disrespectful towards both me and her classmates. It's unacceptable, and I won't tolerate such behavior in my classroom. Instead of pointing fingers, perhaps you should take some responsibility for her actions.
How dare you accuse us of being irresponsible parents? We've raised her properly, unlike you, who clearly can't handle a classroom full of children. Maybe you need to attend a teaching workshop or two.
I assure you, I've attended numerous professional development workshops to improve my teaching skills. However, it seems that your daughter lacks the discipline and respect that should have been instilled at home. I expect your cooperation in addressing this issue.
We don't need your condescending lectures on parenting. Thank you very much. We demand that you figure out a way to control our daughter's behavior, or we'll be reporting you to the school board.
Threats won't solve this problem, Mrs. Brown. I'm doing everything in my power to manage the classroom effectively, but your daughter's behavior requires your involvement as well. It's time for you to step up as parents.
We've had enough of your excuses and blaming us for your failures. We demand that you find a solution, or we'll make sure you regret the day you ever crossed paths with our family.
Your aggressive and disrespectful attitude only reinforces the behavior your daughter is exhibiting. It's clear where she gets it from. I'll be documenting our conversation and your threats. Rest assured, I'll be involving the school administration to address this matter appropriately.
Go ahead and play your little power games, but we won't back down. Our lawyer will be in touch, and we'll see who comes out on top.
If you choose to involve legal action, I will defend my professionalism and my commitment to providing a safe and conducive learning environment. It's regrettable that we couldn't find common ground for the sake of your daughter's education.
Okay, please calm down, Mrs. Brown. Let's calmly find the solution to this serious issue.
We don't have anything to say to that teacher. How could she say those words to my little daughter? I don't want to negotiate anymore. My child is innocent, and all she said was a lie.
The next day, Miss Thompson enters the classroom, trying to maintain composure. Good morning, class. Let's settle down and start the day, shall we?
Oh great, here comes Ms. Perfect. Can't wait to see you today.
Sarah, we had a meeting yesterday with your parents to address your disrespectful behavior. I was hoping we could move forward and have a more respectful and productive day.
I know. They told me.
What did they say to you?
They punish me, ground me, and take away my privileges.
They really did that to you?
I can't believe you are easily deceived. Ha ha ha. Oh, did you really think I would change just because Mommy and Daddy had a little chat with you? Newsflash, Ms. Thompson, they couldn't care less about what you said about me.
Well, it turns out that both you and your parents behave in that way. Disrespecting me won't bring you any benefits, and it certainly won't make your education any easier.
Whatever. I'm not here to learn from you. I'm just here to have a good time and show everyone how much of a joke you are.
Your constant disrespect and attempts to belittle me are not going to discourage me from fulfilling my duty as your teacher. My goal is to fix your bad behavior, even if you don't appreciate it right now.
Oh, fix my behavior? I'm not a living robot, and not easily be fixed by you, which...
It seems that there is no way to change your attitude anymore. All right, let's wait for the final announcement from the school. It's clear that we're unable to find a constructive resolution to this issue. Given the gravity of your daughter's behavior, and your refusal to take responsibility for her actions, I believe it's in the best interest of the entire school community to consider the possibility of expulsion.
Expulsion? You can't be serious. This is an outrageous overreaction on your part. Our daughter has a right to an education, and we won't allow you to take that away from her.
The severity and frequency of your daughter's disruptive behavior have created an environment that is detrimental to the learning experience of her classmates. The school has a duty to ensure a safe and productive learning environment for all students. Expulsion may be necessary to protect the rights of the majority.
This is completely unfair. Our daughter is just going through a phase, and you want to throw her out of school? We won't stand for this.
I understand that you may perceive it as unfair, but it's important to acknowledge the impact your daughter's actions have on me and other students. Expulsion is a last resort to maintain a conducive learning environment. Moreover, this decision for expulsion was not made solely by me. It involved a thorough investigation by the school administration, taking into account witness testimonies, documented incidents, and discussions with all parties involved.
You're just trying to get rid of her because you can't handle her. We won't let you ruin his future like this.
I assure you, my intention is not to ruin anyone's future. However, it's my responsibility to ensure a polite and effective learning environment for all students. Your daughter's behavior has shown a consistent pattern of disrespect and disruption that cannot be ignored.
We won't give up without a fight. We'll take this matter to the board, the superintendent, and even the media if we have to. We'll make sure the whole world knows how unjustly our daughter is being treated.
If you choose to escalate the situation further, that is within your rights. However, I stand by my decision and my dedication to the good behavior of the entire student. The school is where we, the teachers, devote to the students' progression in learning, and in return, they should have appropriate behavior towards us. But your daughter, she goes against all the school discipline, and shows no respect to me, her teacher. So, I will follow the school's decision and respect all your complaints. I will cooperate fully with any investigations or inquiries that may arise.
You'll regret the day you ever decided to mess with our family. We won't rest until justice is served.
I understand that emotions are running high, but I hope you will reconsider your perspective and recognize the importance of addressing your daughter's behavior in a way that allows her to grow and learn from her mistakes. Expulsion is not meant to be punitive, but rather to create an opportunity for her to find a more suitable educational environment. After being expelled, Lily applied to other high schools. However, they turned her down because of her inappropriate behavior with her old teacher. Lily and her parents had to come and apologize to Ms. Thompson and promise to change their attitude in the future. They had to move to another city to seek a place to learn, but it seemed very hard because her mistake was so severe. Luckily, she was received to learn in a small school in the suburb. From that moment on, she started to behave nicely and respectfully toward everyone.